call, please.
Mr. Shi,
Here.
Mr. Mohin Patel,
He'll be late.
Ms. Peng,
Here.
Ms. Conway,
Here.
Dr. Chen,
Here.
Ms. Ms. Badovsky,
Here.
Ms. Madikar,
Here.
Ms. White,
Here.
Mr. Burrell Patel.
Here. Opening statement, the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Edison Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Board of Education administrative offices. Copies of these notices were sent to the Home News Tribune and the Star Ledger on January 5th, 2021. The public may participate at regular meetings in accordance with the bylaws and the applicable state regulations. So today we have a guest, our insurance broker, to present us about what something that we're looking into is self-insurance. And I think we mentioned that last month, we're going to the self-insurance route, and people have a lot of questions about that. And this is just a general overall presentation. The insurance broker will have more detailed presentations with associations. And you might have your own personal experiences, specific questions, details, and so on. And I don't want you guys to talk about in the public. We can have a more small group with the association members. I can have that conversation. But if you have any question you want to ask, you can ask. But there are other presentations coming up for the association members. Okay. With that said, Lou Raquel.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome, the elected board, Board President Shi, Superintendent Dr. Bragan, General Counsel, union leadership, and members of the general audience here and streaming through the internet. For those who don't know me, my name is Raquel Cagley, and it has been my pleasure to serve Edison Board of Education for the past 4 years in my capacity as Senior Vice President of the Benefits Division for Alamo Insurance Group. Tonight, we are scheduled to discuss your current health benefits program, and we promise to do our best to help educate you on the differences between fully insured and self-insured programs. So as you can see, under a fully insured model, our spend right now is above $42 million. $32 million in medical, almost $8 million in prescription, and quickly approaching $2 million in dental. Now, one of the first things I want to assure everybody regarding the funding arrangement, which the district currently has, is fully insured, and we're going to speak about self-insured. But I want to ease everyone's concern and let you know that the funding alternative does not change any negotiated benefits. Benefits will remain equal to or better. You have my word, and we will have that in writing for everyone. Because of the district's size, actuarial forecasting allows us to predict within a small margin the district program costs within a couple percentage points. And as a result of this, by moving to self-insurance, the district will realize significant savings. In the following slides, we'll explain what that means to the district and the advantages of doing so. So as you can see on this chart here, there's a comparison of fully insured versus self-insured. And if you look at the red chart on the left, with a fully insured plan, the employer pays higher premiums, and that's because all the risk is transferred to the insurance carriers. Whereas on the right, on the self-insured chart, it provides an illustration that actually illustrates that we're stepping into the carrier's margin and retaining the profit margin in doing so. Additionally, we secure what's called stop-loss insurance in order to mitigate the highly unlikely risk of incurring claims that far exceed the expected claims amount. As we alluded to earlier, the larger the group, the easier it is to predict cost. Now, this goes into a more detailed explanation, and as you can see by this model, the detailed comparison chart of the fully insured premiums are inclusive of several costs. They include carrier profits, which we estimate to be at least 10% of the annual program costs today. It also includes the state and federal mandates. It also has a lack of transparency, which often lead to unfounded renewal increases. Taxes and fees that are associated with the Affordable Care Act. Now, if you take a look on the right-hand side, the chart, you'll see that switching to self-insurance now allows us to step into the carrier margin. And what that means to the district is that we'll realize significant savings, and that's for all stakeholders included, taxpayers, faculty, and staff. This ultimately is a win-win-win across the board for everybody. And this is our war cry. This allows us to put dollars back into the classroom. Self-insurance. In the following slides, we're going to go over some key terms and features of what self-insurance actually is. So why move to self-insurance? That's the big question, and that's what we're here today to explain to everyone. What it allows us to do is, if we look back over the last 3 years, we've actually been speaking to the board and to the administration on the power of self-insurance and how it can yield significant savings. Earlier in the year, when we discussed this, we did a full analysis of the 2020 claims. And by doing so, we realized at that particular time, we were able to project there would have been a $5 million savings in annual savings had we been self-insured for that period for medical and prescription alone. Medical inflation at this point is about 7.7%. Prescription, it's trending right now about 7.3%. And this is taken directly from the 2021 Siegel Health Plan Cost Trend Survey. So unless we begin to think outside of the box and turn around and look for other alternatives, we're going to continue to have increases year over year. Now, in going into the key terms and features of self-insurance, what is stop-loss insurance? To put it simply, its stop-loss insurance policy is a type of insurance coverage which allows for the policy to pay claims after an exceeded predetermined amount. This is both at the individual claim level as well as in aggregate. All carriers do the same to protect their risk and their profit margin. With individual stop-loss coverage, the carrier assumes responsibility for paying any claims in excess of a mutually agreed upon amount. This amount is also known as individual stop-loss limits or your deductible. In our case, this limit would be anything above $300,000. Similarly, aggregate stop-loss would also include a cap on the claims, and the district would be responsible for paying anything up to a predetermined amount. Fixed costs also include the administrative fees, the annual aggregate, and individual stop-loss premiums. Altogether, this would significantly be lower than what we're currently paying in fully insured premiums. I know this is a very quick, high overview of everything, and as Dr. Shi alluded to, I'm sure there are going to be questions that at some particular time we'll be more than able to provide an additional overview of everything and answer any questions.
Yes. So board members, you want to stay there to ask, or you want to go back? Whatever you feel like it.
Raise the screen. 40 or something.
All right. So yeah, Shivi, you have questions? Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I just have a couple of questions. Your presentation said that there will be savings if claims are at expected level. And what's the expected level? And what happens if there are more claims than the expected level?
So we'll have protection on an individual basis. Raquel shared that number right now is 300,000. The expected claims and the maximum aggregate protection is still being negotiated. The carriers are in competition against each other. It's crucial we protect the integrity of that process. As you notice, we have not released the renewal from Horizon in order to do so. So it'll be well below where you are now, in excess of 10%.
I think you misunderstood my question. I was saying that I'm just focused on the savings, because at this point I think we are projecting a saving of about $5.6 million.
Yes.
And those savings are based on the expected amount of claims, which would obviously be dependent on the historical figures, right?
Correct.
So, but we can't predict the future. So in future, if the projection is wrong, and given that we have COVID and all kinds of things happening, then what happens? Because obviously we're taking a lot of risk. I mean, when there is risk, there's reward, but then you have to kind of balance the two.
Absolutely, and it's a valid question. And to your point, that's why we have stop-loss insurance, which is considered reinsurance. So we're predicting that dollar amount, and if for any reason it goes above it, that's when the stop-loss carrier kicks in, and they pay back and reimburse anything above those levels. And that's why we secure that for the unlikelihood that for any reason, there's some type of catastrophic loss, we have that protection. So that's why we include the stop loss. And
so there's a chance we might not get the 5.6 million saving?
no, there's an
Okay.
I can say with certainty.
Okay, great.
we're gonna realize those savings.
Okay. Then I also saw in your presentation that you spoke about there would be some extra payment in terms of a third-party administrator and the stop-loss premium. So who is the third-party administrator, and how much is the stop-loss premium, and who pays it?
Okay, I'll answer the first part of that question. So the third-party administrator is the carrier. So when we get into the funding arrangement of self-insurance, the third-party administrator is the carrier we select to basically process our claims, as well as tap into their discounts, so we continue to benefit from those same discounts and the power of those carrier discounts, which currently happens to be Horizon. And in terms of your second part of your question, you want to take the stop loss?
Yes, the stop loss is being competitively bid right now and is included in the expectation of well above 10%.
So is the stop loss, is it the risk insurer also the stop loss?
It's one and the same, so it's kind of semantic. Stop loss is the reinsurance, but the correct term that's used in the market is stop loss insurance.
So then is the risk insurer the same as the self-insured insurer, if you understand?
It's part of the components of what makes up self-insurance.
I think the question is it the same as the network? And
Yeah.
so the networks are bidding stop loss, but there are stop loss specialty insurance carriers that are also competing. So we could wind up in a scenario where Horizon is the network and the administrator, and we have a specialty stop loss carrier that's more competitive than they are.
Okay.
We're looking at multiple alternatives, including the prescription carrier, the medical carrier, and the stop loss carrier. In total, we have over how many bids?
21 bids in from different carriers.
You mentioned also that the individual response, the individual responsibility, if it goes above 300,000, or the individual cost goes above 300,000, that's when the risk insurance kicks in. But then there is also an aggregate amount of, what is that aggregate amount?
That's part of the negotiations. We'll have that for you when the negotiations are closed. And right now, it's feverish. It's hour by hour, and tomorrow morning, there'll be movement as well. Keeping that integrity of that process and not releasing the competitive figures has the market competing against itself to your benefit. But it's well below what we're suggesting, above the 10%.
So when you do when we get this aggregate figure, would the average per employee, the average claim amount per employee go below $300,000? Because the aggregate amount is less than the individual amount. The average amount for,
The worst case will be 10% better in savings than where we are now, the worst case. And the best case, we could be stepping into significantly more savings.
Actually, let me frame it differently. I don't think I was very clear. Would the aggregate amount be 300,000 multiplied by the number of employees?
No, it's
Or
not.
would it be less? So then the average
No, the aggregate amount is far greater. The individual specific amount is at 300,000. Did you want to also?
I think I understand your question. So they're both catastrophic losses, right? The first is at the individual level. So the worst that we can do is that if an individual has claims that exceed $300,000, then the carrier, whether that is Horizon or whomever it is, they step in and they reimburse that. So we don't have to pay anything beyond that for any individual, right? The aggregate is worst case scenario, right, when we add up all the claims, right, all together. But it's far less than 300,000 times the number of employees, right? But it's still a very large number. So if you think about what your overall claims are in a given year, we're talking of the tens of millions of dollars. That's really what we're talking about. And that's the same thing with respect to this, that the aggregate stop loss up to that amount, we'll be responsible for, but it's a lot less than what we're experiencing to date. And then once you hit that target, that's when the reinsurance kicks in. The stop loss carrier kicks in at that point as well, not just at the threshold of the 300,000 for an individual, but an aggregate for all together when it exceeds that amount.
Right, and the reason we can't disclose that amount now is to Lou's point, what he mentioned earlier, was the fact that we're still in negotiations, and if those figures are released prematurely, it could adversely affect the outcome of the process.
But the board would have those numbers, right? before the-
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Can't wait.
And my other question is about the equal or better, and how do we ensure that?
Because when we go out to market, one of the requirements for every single carrier is that they provide us an equal to or better letter, ensuring that none of the benefits are going to be disrupted, so everything remains as is.
And if it is not equal to or better, because I know
We
in the
hold them-
past it happened, so then what's the recourse?
We hold them accountable for it, and we go back to them and make sure that they actually guaranteed what they said in writing, that they hold true to that. And if they're not, we go to bat for you guys. That's what we've done. But it doesn't occur because then there'll be legal repercussions of that, but it does not happen.
So right now, I think the current budget allocates 30 million, I believe, right? But that won't be a question for you guys. Right, Dr. Bragan?
I believe the total budget for benefits is more than 30 million.
Okay.
I don't want to misquote it off the top of my head.
Okay.
We basically reduced it with prescription and the anticipated savings for self-insurance in aggregate, $5 million. I could pull it up and look it up right now, but I don't want to misquote it.
Yeah, the insurance, the health insurance is $30 million. The prescription is 8.5, I think, and the dental is 2.2. So we're looking at the overall number of the insurance. There might be some flexibility between each line items.
Correct.
But we're looking at the total number of the total dollar amount is what we're talking about here.
So, one more question. Are we getting into a contract for 1 year or more than a year when we do this? And if it's more than 1 year, is there a penalty if we decide to not go with it next year?
That is all part of the negotiations when the numbers come back. So the committee will review all of that, and we'll need to talk to our, who the insurance vendor is. Because last year, as the first time when we had it, we had a 2-year guarantee. And on the trend increase, and that actually has saved us probably more than $500,000 just for that. And we'll continue to look into that. And we'll see who's going to willing to provide a little bit longer coverage.
So we will also know if we are entering into contracts and for what period of time.
Absolutely. We'll provide a detailed illustration of everything as we have in the past.
And my last and final question, sorry.
That's
What
okay.
is the period when the insurance kicks in for the employees?
I'm sorry, what was the
What is the period when the insurance kicks in for the employees? I mean,
July 1st.
July 1st to...
2020
June
to
30th.
June 30th.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Any other board members?
Question.
Yes.
So as a broker, what helps your organization more, full insurance or self-insurance?
It actually really depends on the size of the group, right? Because any group over 300 lives is considered completely credible, and at that point, actuarially, we can predict what the claims are going to be year over year. So a group of the district size clearly should be self-insured. But in the process, sometimes it takes time for everybody to understand what the different funding mechanisms are and to have a comfortability. But at this point, going on 4 years, I think we're there. And to leave that type of money on the table, it's, I don't think we want to do that.
Any other
think-
questions?
Board member?
Oh, okay, yes.
Conway?
I can't see, yeah.
My
Elizabeth.
question is, when you gave your presentation, you said you looked back on the 2020. And I have a concern with that because many of the people did not leave the house and go for their any special procedures, whether they went for knee surgery or they went for shoulder surgery or they had anything amongst testing done. So it truly is not going to be a good comparison, say, to 2021, because now it's a year later and people are now starting to go out to the doctors and get all the different tests that they put off for a year. So is that truly a good way of comparing? I know you go back to the previous year to see how much was spent, so this way you can decide, where you're going from there. So, that's my first question. Should we have really just done 2020, or did you do comparisons with maybe 18, 19, and 20 to see the progression? Because I don't think 2020 is a good year to truly do a comparison with.
I think that's an excellent question, and you're absolutely right. So one of the things that we factored in, besides the fact that we did a 3-year modeling, one of the things that we did factor in what the carriers has done because of COVID, what they did was they took the primary months between March and June, and what they did was utilize the claims utilization from the previous years to account for what they call a COVID factor. because of the fact that, to your point, because of those months, a lot of individuals were not able to access care or put off a lot of the procedures that they initially had intended on doing during that time span. So to your point, you're absolutely correct, and yes, we did do an actuarial model going 3 years back and also factor in the primary COVID months to ensure that we captured that.
Okay. And my other thing, I'm going to use Horizon as an example. So Horizon has made a very good profit on our premiums. So I'm going to say Horizon is charging us 10%, which is high, but it's 10%. Well, now we need a third-party insurance to do the processing of the claims, because I'm sure Dr. Aldarelli is not going to be processing our doctor's claims.
Dr. Aldarelli. No, you're absolutely right.
So if we're using Horizon as an example, would Horizon still be processing the claims, or who would be processing the claims themselves?
That's an excellent question. So the third-party administrator is the actual insurance carrier. So right now, if we remained with Horizon.
I'm just using Horizon as an example to just call it to that.
Absolutely. So
Right.
as an example, if it were to be maintained as Horizon, as the TPA, they would process all the claims, and what they do is charge us what's called an administrative fee just to have those claims processed and tap into their network discounts.
Okay, so what would that percentage be? It wouldn't be 10%, would it be 5%?
The 10% is a conservative number that includes administrative fees, all fixed costs, administrative, and the stop-loss premium.
Okay, but what I'm saying is,
It's
if we
mo-
went
Horizon's-
full-fledged, it would be 10%, but if they're just processing our claim, would it be an average of 5%?
No, it's 10, we're projecting 10% and above. And that's because we're not going to pay what's called a fully insured premium, where we're paying specific rates. And in those rates, they're charging us for everything, kind of to the model that we illustrated earlier. So because we switched the funding mechanism from fully insured to self-insured, we're not going to be paying those high premiums. We're going to be paying administrative costs.
So that's why I'm saying, what kind of percentage would that be? Equivalent to 2% or 3%?
We're currently under negotiations, but
So that's a negotiating
as of
factor.
right now, we're at least 10%, and it could increase.
No,
For the overall savings.
Your question is the administrative fees going to eat into that 10%?
Well, no, if we're fully insured, we would be paying Horizon 10%. But if we're going into where they're only processing the claims and charging us a fee for each claim, how could you correlate that to a percentage? Would that be, it wouldn't still be 10%?
So let's go back to that,
Or it would be
that
10% of the
10%.
claim, not 10% of the premium?
It's
Per
10.
member per month fee,
Right,
not a
exactly.
percentage.
Because in the administrative costs, they're fixed costs, so I'm trying to make sure I understand her question, maybe you do.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
the question is that there was an example that, Horizon made 10% profit on our premiums, right? So now we are going to self-insure. Horizon will be the one manage our claims, and there will be a processing fee for those claims, right? So the question is, what is a percentage of that processing fee?
Right, so let me
that
answer
correct?
that. That is her question, yes. So the way that you calculate what that margin is that Horizon is making, that profit that they're making, is that you say, okay, how much did they take in premiums? So you as the district paid all this money in premiums, right? And then you subtract from there what the actual expenses were, the claims, the fees, all those kinds of things. And then when you remove that, you have what essentially is their profit, right? And so we're saying very conservatively, it's at least 10% of the full cost to you, right? Now, when you look at the administrative fees, It's not that it's this percent of, the full claims or the full premiums or whatever. It's a very small fee, it's less than $1 million, right? In numbers, right? As far as comparing that to your overall cost, it's
So
a
instead of
fraction.
10%, so instead of paying them $10 million, we'll pay them $1 million, so it's one-tenth
I'm
of
just
what we
saying,
would be paying them.
There are,
If we were to use hypothetical
Percentages.
then the answer to that would be yes. But that's not, we're going to pay that, but we're also going to pay the claims costs. So all of that is factored in, just so that we're
Oh, I know,
clear.
I
Okay.
realize that.
All right.
But if we're paying them to be our administrators to process the claims and they get their fee, the claims are the claims, it doesn't matter.
Correct.
But then we'll also have to pay a stop-loss insurance, which they have had to pay to cover them.
correct.
Now we have to pay that. So if you put those two together, you're still telling us we could feasibly save from Horizon $5 million.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We can't wait.
I know that probably seems unreal, but we do this day in and day out. We've done this, each one of us professionally, for over 20 years, and it actually excites me, and I'm really happy to be able, we are very happy to be able to turn around and deliver this type of savings, because a lot of times, districts are not accustomed to being self-insurance, but once they understand the concept of it and they understand that the benefits are not changing and they realize the savings, no one ever turns back.
1 in 1,000.
Yeah, it's
And
very
all credit
rare.
to you for your instincts and your intuition and your willingness to look at this now. Great. I'm
Yeah.
really excited for you.
But
Jerry,
the
just
only
one-
thing I was concerned about was comparing it to the 2020 year.
No.
Valid
Because
point.
of
Great
the
question.
expenses, if they're basing it on 2020, we could be spending quite a bit, because just for myself, I know I barely spent anything in 2020, and I'm making up for it in 2021 because I missed all the different doctors and all the different appointments that I should have done. So I can see my co-pays, I've spent more money, and different deductibles, I've spent more money, I've spent, on all different things. So we multiply that by 2,500 employees or 3,000 employees, it's a big difference, and you wonder, are we really getting a good picture by just looking at the 1 year? So I'm really glad that you said you did
No, it's an
a real
absolute,
three.
yeah, it's a valid point, which is why we looked back 3 years, and then we just factored in all that information into the 2020, but it's a valid point.
Along with a catch-up for COVID.
Yeah, exactly,
And
the factor.
your cap is going to exceed the 10%.
See?
Should we
I
have a
just
question?
not a question, just one request, if it's possible. Is it possible for you guys to create some kind of a flow chart for the board on how this works? I mean, where everyone is in the process, where is the Edison Board of Ed, where is the risk insurer, the self-insurance company, and then who gets what, who does what, and any other administrative overheads, just kind of a simple
Sure.
flow chart
Absolutely.
if
Great
possible.
suggestion.
Absolutely.
Be prepared.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're doing both the hard dollar and cash flow flow charts for you.
Yeah, I'm just looking for a process chart, that's all.
No
I
problem.
think she wants
Yeah,
clarification.
and what the terms and what
Oh, great.
happens, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other, yeah,
Just one more thing. You said you have 21 responses already?
From the market, correct.
Okay. And they're capable, because I know some markets only handle so many employees, they're able to handle, I know there's many companies out there, but they're able to handle the size of our district.
Absolutely, and that's a great question. Absolutely, and in addition to that, we also ensure that we get their rating to ensure that we're dealing with A-rated companies as well.
any other board members? Okay. All right. So I see some in your association folks here, and I'm pretty sure you're here for some questions. So, just ask your questions, and then we'll have them answer them when you're done with all the questions.
Judy McQuillan, 2 Ethel Road. In layman's terms,
Yeah, but I just want to reiterate that you don't have, if there are some specific and stuff, we're going to have separate presentations. You don't have to reveal them if it's like private and stuff like that. You don't have to feel that you need to do
questions
that.
about the.
Yeah. If there anything else, that, yes.
I don't know if I'm understanding this correctly.
Judy, can you speak to the
Board of
microphone, please?
Ed.
Can you speak to the microphone? Thank you.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
It's not for them,
Okay.
it's for the people online.
Okay, the Board of Ed, our employee is going to pay a stop-loss premium. Is that like a flat rate? Also, administrative fees, partial claims. Any one claim, the maximum the board will pay is $300,000 for one claim. So if we have 3
No, let her finish all her questions.
I'm not understanding.
Yeah,
So if we have 3 catastrophic losses, are we going to pay an additional carrier to take care of anything over the $300,000?
okay. Anything else?
And will that be like reinsurance? Reassurance? So we'll have another carrier to take care of anything catastrophically. For example, if somebody has cancer treatments that cost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, liver transplant, any kind of transplants, those will be in excess of $300,000. So will that be a stop-loss carrier? So I am understanding it, and that would be like reinsurance. Now, do we pay? What kind of fees do we pay for that? Obviously, when you go out and get reinsurance for a stop-loss pay, there has to be some kind of premiums. Okay?
Judy, why don't you finish all your questions? We'll tell them to answer so everyone can hear it on the TV and stuff like that.
So basically, that's what I wanted to know, a lot about the stop-loss carriers, because we might have a lot of catastrophic illnesses in this district. Somebody might need a transplant. It's going to cost a lot of money. How will that be covered? If the board is only going to pay up to $300,000, I need a little explanation of how that's going to work.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So Raquel, you want to repeat those questions? Try to repeat those questions so people can hear the answers as well.
Hopefully I remember both parts of it. I think I'm going to start with the later half because
Yes.
I know that there was a concern there regarding the $300,000. So the $300,000 that Judy was alluding to is the individual spec, right? The individual stop loss limit per person. And yes, everything above that, the reinsurance will cover it. And that'll be all included in the rates. So there's not an additional charge any employee is going to pay for that. That's all going to be developed in the actuarial premium equivalents. So there's no concern there for anyone that needs access to care. And the $300,000, once anyone hits that particular dollar amount, anything above that is covered unlimitedly per person. So there are no one needs to be concerned for that, because as much money as an individual person may incur above that dollar amount, it will be covered 100%. And the first part of that question, I don't think I really remember.
No, I just talked about employer, the Board of Ed will pay a stop-loss premium, administrative fees, and partial claims. I think I wrote that down correctly. And I just wanted to know if that's a flat rate.
In terms of the rates, it's all going to be a specific dollar amount. that the board would be responsible for paying, but ultimately, it's going to be far less than what is being paid currently for the fully insured premium.
Okay, so I'm sorry, another question. If we have, let's just say, 3 catastrophic losses next year, because this will take effect on July 1, and it's in excess of $2 million for those 3 losses, how is that going to affect our savings for next year, the year after, the year after? If we have these catastrophic losses, it might happen. Is this sustainable, is what I'm asking, over a long period of time?
So, yeah.
So in regard to sustainability.
Yeah, repeat the question. I don't think that people on the line might hear it. So the question is, if there are catastrophic losses, it's going to be over, let's say, $2 million. What's the impact of that? And is this model sustainable, right? This self-insured model sustainable? Is that fair? That's the question? Okay, thank you.
Our process is to understand.
Lou, speak to the mic.
As we enter this process, we want to know what our entry looks like, the savings realized in the first year, subsequent years, but also the unforeseeable exit. So we're planning the entry and the exit, and we'll have protection for terminal liability. Regards to 3 high-level claimants above $300,000, it's simple math. 3 times 3 is 9. Those 3 claimants, a transplant, a premature baby, or God forbid, any illness, we're never going to pay more than $300 for any one covered life, or belly buttons, Raquel likes to call them. Because everybody's got a belly button.
So if I need a transplant, it costs $750,000.
We only pay $300. The stop loss insurance will pick up the remaining.
Pay the $300,000 and then the reinsurance will pay.
Yeah, but there's also a aggregate total of how the total, the loss the district pays. So that's a part of the negotiation, that's part of the thing that they're gonna work on it. And, yeah, for individual basis, it's 300, but when you add it together, there's an upper limit as well. The stop loss insurance will cover that.
Exactly, that's our umbrella.
Welcome.
Can I just ask just one question, one last question? What happens if the stop loss company goes bankrupt?
That's very unlikely, and that's one of the reasons why we ensure that we're working with A-rated companies and that they've been in business for an extended amount of time.
They'll have to get insurance.
Well,
They actually have insurance on them. They
Right.
do. And great point.
Okay, thank you.
Matt, yeah. I know you're going to have questions.
Matt Ravnak, ETA Vice President. One of the things that obvious is that, I keep hearing that we're guaranteeing equal or better. We were told a few years ago we were guaranteed equal or better, and it wasn't. It ended up in grievances, probably, a year and a half, and actually it was the association working with Raquel and Alamo and basically trying to fix all these things. Nothing's ever a guarantee. And there's 3 facets to equal or better. One of them is network of doctors, the services provided, so there's more to it than just saying, them covering or paying for something. I did a lot of research when you guys brought this up in the meeting. I've contacted people I know in the insurance industry, for example, and everybody I spoke to basically said, it's very risky. You can have a great year, you can have very bad years. I'm going to use my personal experience this year as an example. I've been in the district 32 years. For 31 years, my family is very healthy. We use the insurance very minimal. Probably the biggest expense was when my 2 children were born, 26 and 23 years ago. As you know, I had a bad year this year. I had 4 surgeries. I haven't added up the total bills, but I know it's in excess of $100,000. The $5 million, $5.6 million in savings. Great if it's over $300,000. If it's $250,000, you're paying for it. 20 people at $250,000, we have 2,600 employees in the district, is not necessarily out of the realm, especially with a more senior staff. That's $5 million bucks. So you're on the hook for that until you hit that 300,000 mark. It's risky. And that's what I was told by people in the insurance industry. My sister works in the insurance industry, for example, and she hooked me up with people that talked to me about this. So, you know, it's easy to say, you know, you hit the 300,000, we don't pay any more. Put even more, you say 250,000 a lot. 50 people hit 100,000 out of 2,600 employees. That's $5 million bucks right there. So again, understandably, whenever you're saving money, there's risk involved. When you change carriers, there's risk involved. You know what you have. You don't know what you're going to. So again, it's a concern from the association standpoints, from the employee standpoints. Yeah, it's great to save money. We were saving money when we went to Cigna, but it created nothing but problems. And thank God we eventually worked it all out, again, through the help of working with Raquel and Alamo and the associations on our part. So there is concerns here. The other thing that comes into play, and I'll just mention it here, but it's probably a discussion for another day. By law, we premium share. When you have a set premium, people know what they're paying. How do you know what you're paying when you're self-insured? Unless it's in the new plans, which are based on percentage of salary, it's based off percentage of premium. So that's a question I have as a, you know, again, with the associations. How do you come up with what people pay if you don't know what you're paying up front? I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for those questions. And, you know,
I just want to thank you for the compliments. Raquel does work very hard, and I'm very proud of the trust level we've developed with the unions and with the board, and we're very excited that this is being contemplated. We're going to protect you. Raquel said you have her word, and we're going to have it in writing.
so to your point, it's understandable, the concern, right? Because 3 years ago when we were talking about switching brokers, when there's change, there's always apprehension and there's valid reasons for it, right? In regard to the 300,000 pooling point, because that's what they call it, Horizon does the same right now. So Horizon already factors in all of those claimants that up to the $300,000 pooling point, which is what the reporting and the utilization over the last 3 years that we've analyzed and we've taken into account. In regards to what the employees will pay, they're called premium equivalents. And we do it in-house, and we also hire externally that we pay for what's called actuaries that actually take all the components and the costs and create what's called premium equivalents. So whatever the savings is to the district is also proportionately to each individual. So hopefully that helps answer the question that you brought up. And
I do have a follow-up question in with that. I'm assuming that, for example, I know you get a monthly bill, okay? Well, we as the association get that, so we know what you're actually paying. One of the reasons why years ago we went and we pushed and went into the state health benefits.
Matt, can you come?
Sure.
People online needs to hear this. Sorry to make you walk.
You know, an equivalency is not an exact amount. I understand it's done by actuaries. I'm a math person. Obviously, like anything else, there's a plus or minus ratio as far as what the actual cost is. We pay an actual premium based on the cost of, or I should say, contribution to the premium based off of an exact cost of the premium you charge. So it's not going to be exact necessarily. You know, the other thing with it, though, again, is that one of the reasons I was starting to say we went to the state health benefit plans years ago was for transparency. We understand you're the board actually buys the insurance, but we contribute as much as 35% toward it. So unless we see a bill, we don't know what the actual amount is. We don't know if, and no offense to anybody up here, but one of the reasons why we did it, and the word transparency is always thrown out there. So unless we see a bill and know exactly what's being charged, we don't know what's being charged. So, that's my other comment about that. Thanks. And by the way, I do appreciate your words, and we have a very good working relationship. So we have a lot of respect.
Thank
Yeah, Jeff.
Jeff Bowden, 2 Ethel Road, ETA president. And I echo about Raquel and everyone on the team. Fantastic. Here's the question. I heard Lou briefly mention about an exit plan. Is it true that the board starts paying claims a few months into the process? And if that's the case, does the exit plan include the back end where potentially the board may have to come up with 3 months to get out before they can go to full insurance?
Throw us a softball, Jeff. So, yeah, so incurred but not reported claims. And technology has sped up that process. We used to consider it 3 months from the time that someone saw a physician to the time that the claim got paid. Now it's down to as low as 6 weeks to as high as 2.5 months. And so along with the flow chart, cash flow chart, we're going to be looking to establish reserves during that period that the claims that are being incurred but not paid, which will help offset the back end if we ever exit. And again, 1 in 1,000 exit self-insurance once they're in it. But we're also contemplating protection. So you want to tell them about TLO? Terminal liability. So we consider the termination and the liabilities post self-insurance in this process and protect that as well.
Great questions.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Insurance only.
Is this something the teachers want? Because if they don't want it, are you going to allow them to take a vote on whether they want it or not? And the $300,000, they say they won't pay any more than $300,000 with the insurance you have now. How much does the insurance pay up to now? And that's it.
The insurance is, we have a contract with the associations, and what are the coverage, what are the co-pays and stuff has been outlined in the contract, and we honor that contract, and we are asking the insurance company to also honor that contract. As far as how the other question, Raquel, can you answer that? I don't know.
Yeah, the current carrier right now, what's the deal with them? You guys won't pay over $300,000. What's the cap of the people now?
So the question is, if it's currently $300,000, what's the cap? There is no cap. And if we go to the self-insured model, it would remain the same. There is no cap on once a person exceeds $300,000, the reinsurance kicks in and continues to pay indefinitely. There's no cap on it.
This is for the board. Can the teachers, are you going to ask the teachers what they want?
Again, we honor the contract. That's the board honor the contract with the association. Any other public comments? Yes.
Just a quick question. With the reinsurance, is that something that has to get negotiated every year if they stay in it? Because if there are a lot of claims that are over that, for instance, homeowner insurance, if you put in too many claims in a small amount of time, they raise deductibles or they'll drop you. So is that something that you're going to have to renegotiate every year?
It's an excellent question, and the answer to that question is yes. Just like we negotiate the renewal every year to ensure that we're obtaining and securing the best rates for the district, the same would apply with the reinsurance company.
Okay. I see a hand in the back. Who was that? Oh, yeah, Beth. Yeah, go. You have a list of questions?
I'm just curious, do you know what % of school districts do the self-insured insurance? And how much do they save? How long have they been in it? Because it kind of, I'm like hearing it and what you're saying, the money, but it also sounds too good to be true.
Anything else? That's it?
That's it. And I just wanted to also bring up the insurance thing, because since, you know, there's all the articles out, since the insurance companies, the health premiums came in higher than their healthcare expenses, that consumers like us are supposed to be getting rebates back. But also note, if we're self-insured, you're not eligible for that as well. So will we be getting rebates back this year, the district, because of last year with the COVID? No, Can I just bring that all up? And why not if we're not?
So I'm going to go backwards with the second question and then forward with the first one. So in regards to the rebates that you're referencing, that applies, and you are correct, but that applies to the small group market and not to larger groups. They don't receive that, what's called the loss ratio rebates that came into effect a few years back with the ACA provision, so that wouldn't apply to the district. In regards to what the percentages of school districts that are have the different funding arrangements, I know there are various, but I don't know across the board, you know, the state, what every single school district's funding arrangement is, except to say that there is a strong push to go to self-insurance for a lot of, not only large school districts, they're actually now, there are employers that are looking at it even on the smaller group side because of the profitability of being self-insured.
I don't know if it makes any meaningful statistical number. As you all know, that Dan Mashat departed the district, and we were interviewing the BAs. We had 4 finalists. 4 people we brought in. I'm sorry, not the finalists. We have 4 people brought in with the position still open, and 3 of those districts, they're self-insured. 3 out of the 4 that we spoke to. Yes, Brian. And I think someone told me the township is self-insured. I'm not sure if that's correct or not. The Edison Township is self-insured? I'm sorry, okay.
How are you? Sorry, I was late. I was coaching Pee Wee baseball, so I apologize for my appearance. But I'm not too thrilled. It is what it is. So I apologize for being late. I missed some of this. So I just talked to my other administrative friends in other districts, so I just have some questions. First of all, with the board, how many carriers did we interview other than Alamo? Did we talk to other companies? How many did we speak to 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5? Did we interview 3? I just noticed there's 1 presenting, so I'm just curious, why isn't there 2 or 3?
Okay, what are the other questions?
So they told me to ask, number 1, what will self-insurance do for the district? Number 2, where does the savings come from? Number 3, ask them to give an example about how the stop loss works and how it benefits the district. Number 4, ask them what the current stop loss is and would they keep the same stop loss if you get self-insured. Number 5, ask them what amount of money would need to be set aside to cover the remaining claims from the fully insured policy that won't be paid by June 30th.
Okay, so.
Those questions were
All right.
So the first question is.
YouTube?
So first question is, you done? You done?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So the first question is, we have 1 insurance broker record, and that's Alamo. They are the ones who's going to go out and bid. As you heard, I don't know if you heard of it, there are 21 different companies bidding on our district. We are the 5th largest school district. We're talking about $40 million somewhere around. Everyone wants our business. So they're bidding on it, so we'll get a good deal out of it. As far as the specifics, some of them were already covered in the presentation. You missed them. But if you don't mind, you can just repeat. One is, what is the benefit of self-insurance, right? What is the current stop loss? Yeah.
It's okay, it's okay. I'm gonna watch myself tonight and, I said, it's okay, I'm going to watch again tonight too, so, and we'll be around for questioning as the selection process is taken. So we're looking in excess of 10% savings on a $42 million program. You could do the math on that. We've got stop loss protection. We're currently negotiating with various carriers in an effort to protect the integrity of the process. We're not disclosing neither Horizon's renewal nor any of the estimated figures that are coming in. But the negotiations are feverish and they are changing day to day to our benefit. The district is, as President Xi said, a very large account and is drawing a lot of attention. President Xi, do you
All
want?
right, thank you. Any other public comments? All right, see none. Thank you, guys. Right. We'll schedule some other meetings from the associations. If you guys have some dates and stuff, contact, Alamo, and just copy me on it so I know things are happening. Pick a good time that's good for you guys. Maybe you want to, maybe you want more than one spot, slot for different reasons, whatever. So just make sure that you have the opportunity to ask more detailed questions. Some of them are very close to you guys in private, and you can have a setting of that to ask those questions. And these guys, they've been, very helpful in the past 3 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So now we're going to our regular agenda. So first, the resolutions. You all should all have that. We'll open up for public comments on resolutions only. Resolutions only. Yes. Huh? Yeah, you come. Hurry up.
Authorization of the purchase of 50 Calvert Avenue East. That's what I want to talk about. Let me find where the paper is. All right.
What's the question?
I don't understand why you're going to spend $2.5 million. Why you don't just use that money and build on property we already have? That's question number one. And I want to ask the same questions that Mr. Bowden asked the last time. I want to know the name. It says the church, the evangelical church, whatever, somewhere on here. I can't see it now. I want to know who's the owner of the evangelical church. I want to know if that owner, or if it's a board or an owner, if there's any conflict of interest between any of the members of the Board of Education and the owners of this property. I think $2.5 million, that's a lot of money. How big is this property?
2 acres.
2 acres?
No, all your questions,
Sorry.
please.
Did you find out from other independent people, get an estimate how much this 2 acres would be?
Any other questions?
No, I still think, it would
You
be,
cannot, you sit down, we'll answer your
because even
questions.
after you buy this property for $2.5 million, you're still gonna have to spend millions to start building. That's why you should start spending money, the money that we have on, build on the property we already own. We can build behind Thomas Jefferson Middle School, continue using the middle school, we can build on Lindenall. The property Lindenall School has that's unused,
Get closer.
that's unused is bigger than what the school uses itself. The baseball field is even bigger. That's, I don't, it's not Board of Ed property? Who owns that property?
She's a Lindenau teacher.
They don't even, well, we definitely own,
You can't get anybody else to have a better inside knowledge than Sue.
possibly, but we definitely own the TJ property, and all that land's going unused. There's no reason for that. And I'm sure if you look at all the other schools too. I haven't been to all of them, but it's probably the same. Same with Washington School. Edison High pretty much uses as much as it can have. I mean, you're pretty much maxed out here, but it's not the same with other properties. And I'm gonna take a look at this property, Jerry, and you're gonna tell me when I sit down if, who the real owner is?
Do you have any other questions?
No, that's
Okay,
pretty much
you
all
sit
I
down
have.
then.
I want to come back
You're
up for public.
Today we have a different attorney here. John Shadanian it has other commitment. And Bill Rupp is sitting in today for John. And he's the one who actually handled this transaction. So Bill, you want to get closer to the microphone and answer the question?
The record owner is shown as the Our Savior's Lutheran Evangelical Church. We have not yet ordered a title report, and a title report would indicate if there's any other issues in terms of ownership or liens or encumbrances. But again, we have not yet done that. Why? Because we haven't entered into a contract formally yet.
All right, as far as questions about, why we cannot build other properties, right now, this is for elementary school. And, we are looking for those properties that you mentioned for other possible expansions as well. So, thank you. Any other comments on the resolutions? Okay, see none? So let's go ahead. Personnel report. Can I have a motion, the personnel report?
Motion.
Mohin, Patel. Anybody else? Can I have a second? Okay. Mrs. Maduka, roll call.
Mr. Burrell Patel?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Ms. Madakar?
Yes.
Ms. Podofsky?
Yes.
Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Peng?
Yes.
Mr. Mohin Patel?
Yes.
And Mr. Shi?
Yes.
It's all yes.
All right,
Motion
so next up, we're going to bundle all these things together, the administration, curriculum instruction, and pupil special services. Can I have a motion on that?
Can I quickly ask one question?
Yes, I will have a motion, then we
Okay,
can ask the
sure.
question. Yes, can I have a motion on that?
Motion.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, Mrs. Maduka again? Yes, go, yeah, I'm sorry, I should have allowed you to ask the questions, I'm sorry. Is
Yeah,
this
no-
for the personnel, this is for the new one?
Oh, this is for the architect.
Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead, yes, I'm sorry. All right,
So-
I should have asked you to allow you to, ask you to, if you have any questions for personnel report, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted clarification. It says that a fee not to exceed 5% of the cost of construction and any project under 1 million at a negotiated fee. I just wanted some clarification. What does that mean? And any project under 1 million at a negotiated fee? So
You want to try?
that's different from the 5%?
Yeah.
Board President Shi, can I? Yeah.
Yes, please.
Normally, the 5% fees for significant renovations or construction that are typically more than $1 million, as you know from the project we have at the Lincoln Elementary School. So if it's a lesser cost than $1 million, they'll give us an estimate. For example, on Our Savior's Church, we had to get surveys done, we had to get wetlands permits done to make sure that was a viable piece of property. And our architect at that time, USA Architects, gave us a fee for that up front and said, if you want us to do this, this will cost this much money, and then we decide if we want to move forward or not. So that would be the same here, that if they did something smaller to do an assessment of, say, this auditorium, what it would cost to renovate, and it was less than $1 million of the job, they would say, in order for us to give you all the information you need and scope it out and get the specs, we estimate doing this type of job for, I'm making up a number, $30,000, and then the board would decide yes or no if they want to move forward.
So is that negotiated fee also approved by the board?
That would require the board's approval
Okay,
before
thank-
moving forward, yes. Usually through the Finance and Facilities Committee, and then we bring it to the full board.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board members on these items?
Yeah, so the US architect, we are keeping that and this one, right?
Yes.
So since we are keeping it, doesn't go on the resolutions, right?
No, the U.S. architect is on the record till their contract is good till June 30th. So we're not removing them, so there's no need to have another resolution.
Okay, so only the new one goes on the
Correct.
resolution.
So To that question, this doesn't give the dates here, if it's still June.
Did we say a date?
It would be for the 2020-21 school year. All the renewals will be done in the May meeting for the following year like we typically would do. So
But
for this company to work for next year, they will be on the renewal list, as will USA, to continue in their capacity.
I mean, this is the 2021 school year. I mean, if it's the next year, it has to be 21-22 school year.
We are adding this.
Correct. This is only good for the remainder of this school year.
So
When
if-
we have our annual renewal meeting, they will be on it at that time as well, for
So-
next year.
So, okay, so are we removing USA Architect in the middle of the term or not?
We don't plan to remove USA at all. We plan to have more than one
There's no plan to
architect.
do that.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Mr.
Yeah, no, okay, go ahead. That's what we spoke. We would like to have different opinions on certain things, so we have a motion, so.
Motion.
You have questions?
Roll call.
Yeah, roll call.
Mr. Burrell Patel.
Yes.
Ms. White.
Yes.
Ms. Madakar.
Yes.
Ms. Podofsky.
Yes.
Dr. Chen.
Yes.
Ms. Conway.
Yes.
Ms. Peng.
Yes.
Mr. Mohim Patel.
Yes.
Mr. Shi.
Yes. Now we're doing, go to the finance, the 3 items. Can I have a motion on that one?
Motion.
Second.
Mohim Patel and Biro Patel. Roll call.
Okay. Mr. Burrell Patel.
Yes.
Ms. White.
Yes.
Ms. Madakar.
Yes.
Ms. Podofsky.
Yes.
Dr. Chen.
Yes.
Ms. Conway.
Yes.
Ms. Peng.
Yes.
Mr. Mohim Patel.
Yes.
And Mr. Shi.
Yes. All right, now we're going to committee reports. CTC report. Mrs. Pan?
Yeah, the CTC has a meeting on April 15th, 12 p.m. We had a Zoom meeting. In attendance is myself, Yuna Cheng, Mohim Patel, Shivi Prasad, Gail Polikowski, Bernina Mahibia, and Dr. Diane Brengard. Summer programs have been reviewed. The principals will be sharing this with the parent. Information about the available programs and all programs will be listed on the district website. Also talked about educational equality. Educational equity is a priority goal of our district. Equity in education requires putting systems in place to ensure that every child has an equal chance for success. That requires understanding the unique challenges and barriers faced by the individual students or by populations of students, and providing additional supports to help them overcome those barriers. Our goal is to give every student an opportunity for success. The district is examining all systems and practices for fairness and inclusion. Fairness, which means ensuring that personal and social circumstances do not prevent students from achieving their academic potential. Inclusion, which means setting a basic minimum standard for education that is shared by all students regardless of background, personal characteristic, or location. Our district is already revising curriculum, gathering resource, and providing staff development to begin the work towards educational equity. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Finance facilities.
Yes.
Mohan.
Okay. So the Finance Facilities Committee had a meeting on Tuesday, April the 6th, 2021 at 4 p.m. The attendees were Mohin Patel Chair, Dr. Yuna Chen, Elizabeth Conway, Jerry Shi, Dr. Bragan, Dr. Eldarelli, and Will Calabas. Topics discussed was JPS at Library, cafeteria expansion. This project was discussed, and USA Architect is going to formalize the plans and begin the project. The maximum cost was set at $350,000. Update on Lincoln School construction. Dr. Bragan provided an update on the status of the Lincoln Elementary School addition. Things are on track for shovels in the ground as soon as school ends this June. Bids for construction and abatement are ready to go out. Architect RFPs. The committee decided to bring in Spiesel and DMR firms of the 9 architect firms who submitted proposals to present at our next Finance and Facilities meeting on April 19, 2021, with an anticipated appointment at this meeting, April 27, 2021 BOE meeting. Long-term plan for the $11.4 million in the budget. Options were discussed for the use of this money that has been budgeted for capital improvements. The committee reviewed proposal for building a specialized small high school, approximately 750 students, and on the property at the corner of Talmadge and Coolidge. Dr. Bragan will bring more specific options for this to the committee at our next Finance and Facilities meeting. Food vendor RFP requirements and updates. The RFP for food service has been submitted to the state for review, and upon approval, we will advertise it with the intention of appointment for the next school year. Update on the leases for the MacBooks. The district will be renewing our lease for all high school MacBooks this year for the approximate amount of, I believe it was 1.2 million, right? Per year, providing all students and teachers with new devices for September 2021. This was included in our 2021 to 2022 school budget. Basically, that was 1.9 million, I believe, or 1.7 million, so we're actually saving almost $500,000 on this new lease. So IT audit. The district is seeking to have a firm audit our IT department and then provide recommendation for improvement and enhanced efficiency. That was the April 6th, 2021 meeting. Then on the April 19th meeting, just give me 1 second, I'll bring that up. Basically, that meeting was with the 2 architects that were brought in and interviewed in terms of the services that were provided, and therefore the board, in that meeting, we decided that we were going to go with DMR after listening to and seeing their presentation. And Jerry actually twisting their arm to bring their rates down even further. Thank you. Thank you.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Next is the Special Ed Committee. Mrs. Conway?
The Special Ed Committee meeting was held on April 20th at 2 p.m. The board members in attendance were Carol Badowski, Dr. Una Chen, Viral Patel, and myself. The administrators in attendance were Dr. Conklin, Allison Hines, Erin Madera, Dawn Netzel, and Nancy Sika. The items that were discussed, we talked about staffing, and at this time we are fully staffed with accommodations for those on leaves. The ESY for 2021 will be in person unless there is a medical exception. It will take place from July 1st until the 3rd week of August. The district programs will include preschool handicapped, autistic, MD, learning language disabilities, and in-class resource. Only a few resource classes remain, but will eventually be discontinued. Our district employs an AAC specialist who is instrumental for testing students with limited speech. The district continues the professional development using the New Jersey Council for Inclusive Education. Included programs are Jump Ahead, Cumberland Solutions, and Phonics First. RWJ Barnabas Health Source provides PD for counselors, child study teams, and administrators. We're also advised that there is a law under consideration to up the age of students to be educated by 1 year. And the NJSLA has been canceled, but there may be a fall assessment, the DLM, which is the Dynamic Learning Maps. The meeting was adjourned at 2:40, and the next meeting is to be determined approximately the 3rd week of June. Thank you.
Thank you. Township Liaison, Mrs. White.
The Township Board of Ed liaison meeting was held on Tuesday, April the 9th at 11 a.m. at the Education Center. In attendance were Council VP Sam Joshi, Councilwoman Joyce Ship Freeman, Councilman A.J. Patel, Board of Ed VP Mohan Patel, BOE members Shivi Prasad Madhukar, Viral Patel, Virginia White, and Superintendent Dr. Bernard Bragan. Also in attendance via Zoom was Mayor Thomas Lanke. The committee welcomed everyone to the meeting. The Edison Art Society, Gloria Dittman provided the committee with an update. The Edison Art Society is in the process of collecting data for applications for art scholarships. She has shared this information with Roger Vroom, District Supervisor of Visual Arts and Performing Arts, for distribution to the appropriate students. The COVID-19 update. Joyce Ship Freeman expressed a concern about getting COVID-19 vaccines for homebound and seniors who have not yet been vaccinated. Andrew Toth, Deputy Fire Chief, Office of Emergency Management Coordinator, was unable to attend our meetings, so he provided us with an update, which I read to the committee, stating all school staff and Edison Township staff were offered vaccine. His team is still working to get vaccines for everyone in need in the township. Seniors and homebound people are still a priority for receiving vaccines. A group discussion ensued regarding the availability of our community compared to other areas in the state. Pharmacies are getting vaccines in more populated areas like Jersey City and Newark. In addition, the possibility of offering vaccines to students as well in the coming weeks, along with offering rapid testing to students and staff. The district will research this option with our current testing provider. The properties update, overcrowding. Mayor Lanke joined us and spoke at length regarding options of purchasing Stelton School, which is still a work in progress, Truman Avenue, that's the Kilmer properties, and informed the committee that representatives from Edison Township have contacted the federal government about the Kilmer property. The township is doing their best to move forward with the process. As soon as the mayor gets more information, we'll be updated. In addition, Dr. Bragan informed the committee that we have options for the property at Talmadge and Coolidge for a potential school. The options will be presented to the Finance Facility Committee for review prior to presenting to the full Board of Education. Suggestions. Joyce Ship Freeman expressed concerns that more students of color are being placed in level 2 classes. Dr. Bragan explained the district's efforts to raise the performance of all students, especially those who are students of color, and that this is one of our district's goals. Bureau Patel suggested regarding COVID-19 vaccines that we email students over 16 to determine if they would consider getting the vaccine if offered. Dr. Bragan said he would contact HMH JFK to see if this is a possibility. In closing, this was our third meeting. We're moving in the right direction, and we are making positive progress in many areas. The next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, May 4th at 11 a.m. at the Education Center. Respectfully submitted, Virginia White.
Thank you, Mrs. White.
Jerry, I also have a committee
Yes.
report.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I submitted it only this morning.
Okay.
So I have I have to report for 3 meetings that we had previously. The first Community Relations Committee meeting took place on March 18th at 5:30 p.m. In attendance were Virginia White, Elizabeth Conway, Carol Badowski, and myself. Dr. Alderelli and Dr. Bragan joined during the last 15 minutes of the meeting. The meeting took place at the J.P. Stevens Library, and it was an internal meeting. The Community Relations Committee was first created in 2018, but it never really took off. This year, the committee assignments were communicated on February 3rd. Since this is a new committee, and the role is undefined, our first meeting focused on how to use this platform to create better transparency and communication with the Edison community, because even the best laid plans can fail if not communicated properly. The committee discussed how communication can be a problem as well as a solution. Since the focus is community, the committee discussed various formats to get the community involved in sharing knowledge and bringing transparency. We discussed conducting internal meetings for organizing and discussing details and topics for open forums. More importantly, we discussed formats for involving the community at large. This included conducting meetings via Zoom, in-person meetings in various schools, focus groups with residents who are interested in contributing to the role, to developing the role of the committee. The committee agreed on conducting monthly open forums. The second Community Relations Committee meeting took place on April 6th at 7 p.m. In attendance were Virginia White, Elizabeth Conway, Carol Badowski, and myself, Dr. Alderelli, and Dr. Bragan, as well as a lot of residents who participated via Zoom. This was the committee's first public forum. About 400 residents and other community members participated in the meeting or attended the meeting. The committee focused on questions related to school opening for the full day. Our third committee meeting took place on April 14th at 4:15 p.m. In attendance were Dr. Bragan, Virginia White, Elizabeth Conway, Carol Badowski, and myself. It took place at the Ed Center. During this committee meeting, we basically further honed and refined our goals and the reason for how we could serve the community better. We discussed the committee as being a thought process that will improve Edison schools in the long run. We discussed using this forum to create a knowledge base. There are issues that may not have immediate resolution, but understanding a problem is the beginning of finding a solution. Similarly, there are things that may be going very well within a school or universally across the district. Having knowledge of this helps in replicating best practices or concepts across all schools, as well as replicating it for other areas where it is not currently in practice. The committee discussed using this forum as a platform where such ideas or issues could be brought to light and aggregated in one place for future action. Similarly, there are many wonderful initiatives the board and the administration initiate, but these initiatives are often missed by the community. The committee discussed using this forum to share and communicate those plans, proposals, and programs. Finally, the committee discussed lessons learned from the first open forum on March 18th and ways to be more effective going forward. An open forum will be hosted by the committee on May 4th at 7 p.m. via Zoom. Information on the meeting will be shared via email. It will also be available on our website. Residents will be able to ask questions or share ideas live via Zoom. We hope that the forum will be used for making constructive statements and generating positive tone and atmosphere. We would also welcome any ideas via email as well. And you can write to any of the 4 committee members, which is Virginia White, Elizabeth Conway, Carol Badowski, and myself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, announcement of the upcoming meetings. So on May 5th, we're going to have our annual budget hearing meeting. It'll be in JP Stevens, May 5th, 7 o'clock. And it's an annual meeting. We'll present the budget. And on May 20th, we'll have our caucus meeting at 7 o'clock. And on Tuesday, May 25th, we'll have our public meeting. Now we're open for board member comments. So I'm going to go the other direction this time. Last time this way, this time this way.
Okay.
Biro, yes. Anything you want to say?
Yes, so Dr. Bragan, when do we get the marking period 3 grades updated? It's been 2 weeks. Some parents are wondering.
Say that one more time, Mr.
When do we get the marking period 3 grades updated in the parent portal?
Third marking period grades. Some
Third
of the
marking
grades have not been
period.
updated.
The
yet.
grades haven't been updated?
Not yet.
I will look into that tomorrow.
Okay, awesome. Right, so I would like to mention about a small group of amazing parents in Edison who are volunteering their time, their precious time for several special need children. Make With Me, which is the name of the organization, was started as an initiative to fulfill the large gap which exists when a young adult leaves the security of the school system to join the adult world. They volunteer their time to help these young adults create things and sell it on the marketplace. Very soon, they will have a 501c3 status. They offer arts class, sports, and other fun-related classes for all the special need kids. We discussed this about the special ed meeting. Thanks to Dr. Conklin and the special ed staff for accommodating this during the special ed committee. Giving them a room and hearing them out. And they have some wonderful ideas and great initiatives. And I urge the special ed team to help these wonderful parents, volunteers, any way we can to help the special ed youths. Before a couple of weeks, we had a very good weekend for the Edison Township School District. As teams from Woodbrook Elementary School, John Adams Middle School, J.P. Stevens High School, and Woodrow Wilson Middle School qualified to participate in the World Finals for the Odyssey of the Mind. Congratulations to all the students of Woodbrook Elementary School for getting the first place in the Odyssey of the Mind competition at the regional level. For the first time ever, they qualified for contesting at the world level. Congratulations to teams from Woodrow Wilson Middle School and multiple teams from J.P. Stevens who also qualified to contest in the world final for all the 5 problems of the Odyssey of the Mind. There are a website and there is information if someone wants to dig into it. The virtual ceremony for the world finals will be held on May 29th for the virtual competition. The in-person ceremony will be June 11th. Odyssey of the Mind, in simple words, is a worldwide creative problem-solving algorithm. But it's all I would like to highlight is amazing achievement for Edison schools. The few people who went, few students who made it to the world level from Woodbrook Elementary School is Coach Mrs. Devala, Advita Ella, Jiva Febi, Johan Febi, Sahil Ghosh, Saish Kaul, Arav Kumar, Mishka Shah, and on behalf of the Woodbrook team, participation, Santu Ghosh volunteered as one of the panelist judge in the regional and state level judging problems in which the children's participated. Mr. Santu is here. Please stand up and thank you so much and very, very good job. Very well done. Thank you so much. Thank you for coaching the wonderful children, and so we have these good results and we are all proud of all the children from all the schools who made it to the world level. Next week is Teachers Appreciation Week. As Albert Einstein said, it is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken the joy in creative expression and knowledge. My sincere request to every student, parents, and others to appreciate all the wonderful teachers of the school district. We are very thankful for their contribution, their dedication, and their unconditional support towards our students, which makes our district one of the best. Please participate in all the planned activities at the school and through PTOs or any way we can appreciate our teachers. And very soon there will be Nurse Appreciation Day, so please appreciate all the nurses and all the staff members as well. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Jay?
I actually had 2-3 more questions. I thought I'll save it for my board member comments.
Oh, okay.
So I just want to know, when do we have to approve the self-insurance plan? And when do we get to see the details of that?
Well, we have to wait for the numbers. I don't know when they're going to get the numbers. It's usually somewhere in the May timeframe.
So before the budget or after the budget?
I don't know. I think in the past it was after the budget. So it's probably the same timeline.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the budget itself, when does the board get to see the budget and when is it put on the website? The budget hearing is on May 2nd, right?
Yes. Not May 2nd. May 6th, right?
Oh, May 6th.
Whatever that day, I forgot what date it is.
May 5th.
May
Okay,
5th,
thank
yeah.
you.
So, yeah, the budget will be available before that. And I don't know if there are any changes that from the previous budget that was posted online.
The user-friendly budget's on the website now.
Right? Unless there's some changes.
Oh, it's the same as the preliminary budget?
I'm sorry?
It's exactly the same as the preliminary
Yeah, unless
budget?
there are something changes, but, I don't know if any board members have any questions and stuff, then you can ask. If there's any changes that we need to make, we'll make it before the, the meeting.
Okay, thank you. That's
Yeah.
all. I don't have any comments.
Okay, Carol?
Okay. Last week, I know I spoke about some very special people that are helping making schools a little easier for all of our children and making it a better year. And I mentioned school nurses, administrative professionals, better known as secretaries, and also our teachers, who have all have special days right around this time of year. But there's a lot of people who have done a special job this year who don't have special days for them right now. So I'd also like to recognize all of our other school personnel, paraprofessionals, custodians, security guards, lunch aides, videographers, district and building level administrators, child study teams, and one other really important group that has made this special or helped our children get through this year, the parents in our district, and in some cases, grandparents and aunts and uncles. And also the most important group that has gotten us all through the year is the children of the Edison Public Schools, because they are amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Penn? No. Dr. Chen? No. Okay. Yeah, Mrs. Conway?
As Mrs. Badowski has gladly spoken prior to me, this month coming up is an appreciation month for all of us as we come closer to the end of the school year. And I know we need to appreciate each and every person that is struggling to get through this year successfully. And without missing anyone, we all need to be very proud of our staff, our students, the parents, and everyone involved in making this as best a school year as it possibly could be under the circumstances. And the only other thing I'd like to say is for any parents that have children in our special education department, there will be a meeting via Zoom on the 4th at 1 o'clock. So if you go onto the website, they're very valuable presentations. If anyone is interested, there's usually a slight meeting and then some sort of presentation. And each and every one of them I've been very impressed with. And I thank the special ed department staff for putting these presentations together. So if anyone is available this particular month, it's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Some of the other meetings they kind of alternate between during the day and at night to try and to reach, different people at different times. But this meeting coming up is at 1 o'clock. So if you get a chance, anyone interested, not just for special education, I learn something every time we have a meeting. So it's advantageous for anyone that is available to go on to the Zoom meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. White?
Okay, I just want to echo my fellow board members in your teacher appreciation. These incredible people that have been working so hard in this terrible, terrible year. But in addition, our amazing nurses. I mean, their rooms are like little hospitals, and they do such incredible work there. And also, I would just like to remind everybody that the Parent Help Desk did launch on April the 19th, and we would like you to try it out, see how it goes, and give us a little bit of feedback to see where we're lacking and if we can make it better in any way. Thank you.
Okay. Oh. Yeah.
Again, just reiterating everything that everyone has said, thank you so much for the teachers for being there and doing what you do day in, day out. You are the gurus of our kids. And to all the nurses, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
Okay. Appreciate it. All right. So I have a couple, I have one question actually from the parents for Dr. Bragan. We see the governor relaxing the attendance recently to 500 outdoor. Do you have any comments? So people are have concern about promotions, proms, and graduations and stuff. I know things could change. I hope that we'll have more people attending. So any comments, any thoughts that for the parents and students?
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, Board President Chi. The administrative team, as well as the administration at both high schools, have been planning for some type of graduation for some time now. And for those of you that remember last year's graduation, the parameters were 500 people for an outside event, ensuring social distancing and people wearing masks. And for both high schools, that necessitated 3 individual sessions, which went off flawlessly, and both of those days were, I think, the hottest days of the summer, unfortunately. But, I think that this high school was canceled twice due to rain, and then that day was actually the hottest of the 2 days. But nonetheless, the governor came out, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, with a stipulation that you could have a gathering of 500 people or more, up to 500 people outside. There's no limit on religious gatherings, and maybe we can make the argument that the high school graduation is religious, I don't know. But at this point, if that is the parameters, if those parameters remain as we move forward, the 500 number is very limiting. Obviously, our graduating classes at both high schools are probably larger than that. So if that's the parameter, those are the numbers moving forward. If that doesn't change, I would imagine, and we're planning for a number of different contingencies, that it would be similar to last year, where there would be 3 ceremonies throughout the day with about 150 students or so at each group, depending on which high school we're in, so we can get everyone a ceremony that's appropriate, give them an opportunity to be there with their families and keep it safe and socially distant as best as we can. We hope by that time maybe those parameters will loosen up and they'll change, but that's where we're going right now. As far as any types of proms, both high schools were planning functions. Right now, I believe it's 250 is the capacity for indoor, where they will allow people to dance and do things like that, and we're working with both high school administrations to do what we can to pull off an event that will give these seniors an opportunity to celebrate something. It's a tough year for seniors. My own child, my baby is a senior, so it's been a tough year for them. If we could give them some type of send-off where they get to enjoy themselves in a safe way. I know we have the commitment of both high school administrations to put that together, and they've been working behind the scenes, and the governor's parameters will dictate what and how large that would look like.
Okay, thank you.
Board President, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Dr. Bragan, is there a possibility for an option for the seniors of last year to have a reprom for them missing it out last year? Because I think they also deserve to have that experience that they missed out on. So if there's something that we can work out for them, I would love it for them.
All right. We haven't considered that, but we will look into that. I mean, some of the problems with the prom is, our graduating classes are 500 and I think 650 or thereabouts on both high schools. Don't quote me on the exact number. But if we brought back students from last year, that would be even smaller groups. So if we can do something for that, we will definitely look into that.
Thank you. All right. So the other thing is about grouping procedure. I brought up at the last meeting. I think the curriculum committee and Mrs. Polakowski, they've been double-checked. The stuff that's posted on the website is correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. And any committee CTC members, correct me if I'm wrong. Whatever there, it is accurate. So I'm pretty sure people have questions about the grouping procedures. Feel free to contact the CTC members. Shannon Penn is the chair, Shivi Prasad, Madhuga, and Mohin, and Dr. Chen. Is that correct? Yes. So any of them, just send email to them if you have any specific questions. And the other thing is just want to bring up a good news. There was Lincoln School was brought up in the conversation today. Today was the actual walkthrough for our school, right? Is that today, right? So we have, I don't know how many contractors. They walked through the Lincoln School, and they looked at what we want to do, and the design was provided to them, I assume, right? So we're going to start the bidding process very soon. We hope that we can break ground very soon, and let's see if we can have a new win sometime very quickly, and then help a little bit with the overcrowding over there. All right, that's it. The other thing is, I just want to echo congratulations to all the students, the Odyssey of the Mind, and all the staff for a great year. And also want to congratulate all the students that were honored National Honor Society yesterday over here. in Edison High School. And I don't know when JP is. I think they're coming up very soon. You know, it's a small event. Unfortunately, we cannot have it, you know, in here. But it was I looked down the picture of the great outdoor event, and congratulations to all those students, and good job, Mr. Ross. Okay. All right. So
Jerry, just one final
yes.
question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
This
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
night of questions for me. So just a clarification thing. Is it possible to see the self-insurance plan before the budget meeting? Because what if, because the budget assumes a 5.6 million savings, right?
Yes.
And for some reason, if the whatever plan is presented, I mean, I'm not thinking it will not go through, but what if some reason it does not go through, then what does that do to the budget? And then how do you modify the budget? And what is the process?
Well, the thing is, we don't know when to come in, but I think in the past you budgeted, if anything that below that dollar amount, it's going to the surplus. And based on the conversation we have with the insurance broker, they're very confident that we should be able to achieve that. But if not, there are other plans that we could potentially use the capital to cover that. But I hope we don't need that. But as I said, today it's very, very confident, and we had multiple conversations with them. That's my first question is, how comfortable are you with that? And so far, it's been very comfortable. Dr. Brady, you want to add?
Yeah, the trepidations, Mrs. Matagor, that you share for the self-insurance, we all do, and, you know, we don't want to take that lightly and put ourselves in a position where we'll be financially in distress. So the capital monies that are budgeted for the capital projects, the individual projects have not been allocated and won't be until we have a final determination on the numbers, which we hope to come out very shortly. As the Alamo Group said, they're in negotiations right now. They don't want to reveal any individual numbers while the bidding process is still going back and forth. As he said, it's very competitive. So when we get those numbers, it might not come out before the budget, the final determination, but we do have contingencies in there, should they not come at what we think they do. But, you know, I can't predict the future. I can't ensure anything's going to happen tomorrow. But the past performance, and again, we're averaging over the 3 years, is a fairly good indicator of what the future performance will be as far as premiums. And the premium that Horizon this year is charging us is based on the last 3 years' exposure and claims. So those actuaries that determined the premium that Mr. Rebnick said was static and every year is the exact same thing are the same actuaries who are going to determine what our estimated premiums would be, and we make those determinations this year. And the goal is that it's lower for everybody, for all of our teachers, myself included. I got the same insurance. I'm at Tier 4, 35%, as many of you are. And, you know, I go to the same doctors, I got the same coverage. So I was born at night, but not last night. I'm not going to harm myself as much as I don't want to harm anybody else here. And we do believe it will be a cost savings, and I do hear some of the concerns that everybody said. Well, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. And I do believe that too. I'm a little less suspicious as I get older, probably more so. But as Mr. Shih said, and the committee, the finance committee, when we talked about some things, we're trying to take the profit from Horizon and give it back to you. The board member, the community members, our staff pay $8.5 million, give or take a few, towards the premium. That's a significant amount of money. The less we pay for each monthly bill, the less all of you pay, and the less I pay too. So we want to provide the savings where we can and still provide the same coverage. As Alamo said, Mrs. Kagi said, she guarantees. I guarantee it too. I'm not going to get worse coverage for any of our employees because you don't. I wouldn't do that to any of you, and I really wouldn't do it to myself. So I understand the trepidations. We did build into the budget a contingency with some of the capital. God forbid it should happen, but I really don't think it's going to happen. We're not taking a drastic cut. We're taking away the profit that Horizon made this year. You know, one of the things, and, you know, some of the committee members were at the meeting when we met with Horizon. I know Dr. Aldarelli was there, and we met with I don't know who they are, Mr. Burton, Mr. Zucker, and the other people there. And I pointed out what Mrs. Conway said and what Mrs. Matagor said. I said, listen, this year, March, April, May, where we paid, I forget the premium, of $3 million in premiums, and the claims for those years for those months were $800,000. Are you giving us that money back? And it's no. because they determined that premium. You know, we were in lockdown then. Nobody was going out unless it was an emergency. And they made a significant profit this year because we were locked down and we couldn't do it. And there is a concern that, well, then this year it will be higher because people will do things that they had put off. And if we were self-insured last year, we would have a bank of money if we charged everybody that amount to cover for that moving forward. So I understand everyone's trepidation. I don't think we took it lightly. And I think we have contingencies in place should it not work out as predicted. And, you know, I've said this before. I really like doing this job. I hope to be around a while. If I screw this up, you know, I may be looking for work, so I don't plan to do that.
Thank you, Dr.
Jerry?
Bregan. Thank you for the answer. It's not as much as trepidation as it is, just having our bases covered because we haven't, done it until we have done it. That's all. Thanks.
I agree.
I think, if people will feel a little bit better, I think Newark, the biggest school district in New Jersey, they're going to self-insured route. They're saving, I think, $40 million or something like that with a switch. Yeah, Mrs. Conway.
I just have two related questions. It's been a few years since I was under the health insurance. Is the percentage that the employees pay a percentage of their salary or a percentage of the health insurance premium?
It's premium.
Okay.
That's a great question. It's two. For the traditional plan, the Omnia plans, it's a percentage of the premium. For the Educators Health Plan and the new Garden State Plan that's
the other
coming
one.
out, I think July 1,
Yeah.
it's a percentage of salary.
Okay, so my question is, Ms. Talke has put something in my head, and I just need to ask a question then. If we are going to move ahead, and are the majority of our employees in that educator's plan, or where are the majority of our employees? Are they paying a percentage of the premium, or are they paying a percentage of their salary? The majority of our
Can I answer this?
professionals.
Yes, go ahead.
The majority of our employees are in a traditional or the Omnia plan where they pay a percentage of the premiums. I think the Omnia plan is capped at Tier 2 because it's a lower
Correct.
cost plan. In the
Yes.
traditional plan, depending on your salary, you pay a percentage of the premium up to, I think it's 35% is the maximum for over a certain salary amount. So all new employees or anyone that transferred from another district has to take the Educator Health Plan as of January 1, I believe it was, this
Yes.
year.
Yes.
And anyone we hire moving forward will either have to take that plan or, so there's a new plan coming out in July. It's called the Garden State Plan, I think, and that's one of the options as well. And those are based on a percentage of salary moving forward. Those plans actually cost the district money. It's almost $1 million it's going to cost us for the Educator Health Plan because, as many of you said, I'm wary of plans that say everybody's going to save, right? It's going to be cheaper for the employee, it's going to be cheaper for the district, and it's going to have better coverage. But in effect, the new plans are costing the district more money had they used the old model on the Chapter 78. And that's something we're working with the association on. There's an opportunity to have impact negotiations. We haven't had those yet. We're working with Mr. Bad and Mr. Revnick and the NGA and trying to schedule something to talk about that. I don't know if I answered your question, Mrs.
No,
Cohen.
but my question is, well, then come July, how do I tell Ms. Talke how much her share is then? If she's in that traditional plan and she paid
premium.
her 35% of the premium, how do we now tell her how much she has to pay in July? I mean, after a few months, you might figure it out, but what do we do to start with?
It's a great-
The
it's a-
board, we have a budget, and by the end of the school financial year, it'll come out. But what do we tell our employees? Oh, we'll figure it out, and you can just pay us the difference at the end, or we'll give you back money, or how will that work as to what do I tell, Sue Campione or Beth Talke, how much is coming out of their salary? You did this, by the way.
It's a really good question, and what we would use for that, when the open enrollment takes place, all the charges, the monthly charges for the particular coverage you have will be delineated. We'd like to have open enrollment at May 1st. That's probably not going to happen because May 1st, I believe, is Saturday. So July 1st is when we would have the new plans would be enacted, and the employees will know that. If you heard the Alamo Group, what they did say is it's not the actual premium because that's whatever Horizon chose to charge us, and if we're self-insured, it would be the premium equivalence, which will be figured out as they normally would during open enrollment, and that'll be what the employee will pay over the course of the year. Now, at the end of the year, should there be significant savings from the plan, the premiums for the next year will be lower. That's, in theory, what Horizon and Aetna and everybody else should be doing, but they've never gone down since I've been doing this. But the premium equivalence will not change month to month. It'll be, when you have the open enrollment, that'll be what it will be for you moving forward, and that'll be what you will make your selection on, I believe. That's what we are working on with Alamo, to work those out and have that ready to go. Open enrollment should be coming soon, but we have to get the commitments from the carriers, and they said we're in the middle of that process right now.
Yeah, I think, my understanding is to the employees, you won't see the differences. It's just that you're paying a premium. I hope that this new premium of this coming year is much less because the total cost is down. And it's just the behind the scene how we found the insurance, the stop loss and all of that. And you still pay your deductible and whatever that's in the contract. That's still it is. So it should be. You shouldn't see any differences the way that you go see the doctors. It's everything is behind the scene that's we're working with the insurance company. I don't know if that helped explain that question. That's my understanding. Any other board member comments before I open up for public comments?
No.
Sure?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now we're open for public comments. Anyone wants to come here? Yes, Sue.
Susan Campioni, HF for Court in Edison. First, just a comment, before you make any plans for any of the kids that missed the prom last year, you might want to do a survey.
Yeah.
Because as a mother of a daughter who missed her college graduation and now they're planning one, her and her friends have absolutely no interest in going to walk-in graduation over a year later, and they've moved on. So before you do anything, you might want to do a survey. I just wanted to ask, because I think that Mr. Patel mentioned about new MacBooks in the budget, to make sure that this year that the paras are included in that, because I can tell you that I've been teaching all year and I need to bring in my own Chromebook every day, because the Chromebook that I have I can only present on. No one can hear me if I speak on it. We've pretty much all the paras have just gotten whatever was left over when the kids were getting new ones. So going forward, I'm hoping that we are included in getting some new equipment. And also just a comment, because it has, just really been bothering me watching the meetings from home. This has been going on for over a year. Children watch, parents watch, staff watch. We are back in school full-time, wearing masks, most of us double masked, for 7 hours a day. We don't have microphones that we talk into. We're talking to children online at the same time as talking to children in class. We do not take our masks off. The children do not take their masks off. But I have watched over and over and over, including graduation last year on the field when parents posted pictures of board members with no masks on. Almost every single one of you removes your mask to talk. Why? You have a microphone, and we sit, it's getting hot. I'm a person, I have trouble breathing with the mask on. Today was a rough day with the allergies. I don't have a choice. I keep my mask on every single day. This is a public building, it's a school building, and everyone is supposed to be wearing masks. I don't understand why you guys keep removing masks to speak. So it's just something that's really bothered me, and I think that you're role models, and people are watching, and they do comment. You should be keeping your masks on. Thank you.
Thank you. So as far as the Chromebook, Dr. Brigham, you want to say anything about it?
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. We do plan to have devices for the paraprofessionals as well, and if the device that you have, Sue, or anybody else isn't working or function properly, let me know. let your building principal know. If that doesn't work, let me know, and we'll do what we can to get you an appropriate device.
The Chromebook that Mr. Patel mentioned is that, as you all know, that we lease these MacBooks, right? Right now, we have a 4-year lease. So if we continue the 4-year lease, we're paying, what was it, $1.7 million or 1.5?
I think we have one more payment.
Okay, one more payment, one more year
Next
left for the 4th year. It's 1.7 or 1.6, I forgot exactly the number, okay? What we did is we stopped the contract, we picked up the new contract, okay? We're sending all our old Chromebooks, we're paying $1.2 million. So close to $500,000 savings. Better equipment, brand new equipment, at much less cost to us. This is what this board will continue to do, to looking for ways to save money and provide better or equal services to our students. These are brand new MacBooks. And that's something that I was talking to Dr. Bragan about this, is can we look into something that, since these are new, some of the people who graduate from schools, when they go to college, and so they need a computer. Will we look into the option of let them buy the computer that they've been using moving forward when they graduate? So this is something we can look into, and we've been talking about it, and save them some money, because they're going to need a computer anyway. Maybe some of the students that go to engineering and stuff, they need a more powerful machine. Some of them, maybe no. They can just use the one that from the schools. We'll be looking into allow them to buy it at a cheaper cost rather than they go out and spend $1,000 to buy it on the market. So I think we answered your questions. And anybody else? Yes, Beth, all the way to the end. The lady. Yeah. You're next. You're next.
Beth Talke, Midwood Avenue. Question with the insurance once again. Will the employees just be paying the % of the premium, or is the board going to start calculating in the stop-loss insurance and all those other little extra fees that you have to pay for all those other entities that are involved with this? And also, I want to piggyback on what Mrs. Campione said about the Chromebooks. Yes, I am grateful that we did actually get devices this year, but being in, especially the class I am, we're expected to take the small groups and so forth. I've been using my own MacBook because the Chromebooks are not capable of sharing the screens, presenting videos, presenting slideshows that we have to, do with the kids. So if we could look into that, what the cost would actually be for the number of us, it would be beneficial and better for the education of the kids, where we're not, constantly having to shut down the Chromebook and try to get back online and everything else. It would help us a lot. Thank you.
Okay. So you want me to try to answer the insurance?
I can answer the insurance question. As I said earlier, Beth and everyone else, it won't necessarily be a premium, but it will be the premium equivalent. So for you as an employee, it will be almost the same process. What's deducted from your paycheck? As again, we said earlier, hopefully it will be less. Regarding the stop loss and the number that she mentioned at $300,000, that's all tied into the premium. The carriers do that now. That already happens now. That's part of your premium. They get reinsurance for anybody, and the numbers change. When we looked at this when I was in a previous district, the stop loss gap was at 175,000. And as Mr. Revnick said, yeah, those are some of the ones that cost more money, or those ones that are below the stop loss. Right now it's at 300,000, and the carrier kind of determines where that is. So you get a couple, as Mr. Revnick said, you get 20 shoulder replacements that are 220,000. That's a significant amount, where a typical employee maybe spends, I don't know, I'm making up a number, 10,000 a year on their overall health and well-being. So typically those middle-of-the-road procedures, having some familiarity working with the insurance carriers, are the ones that cause your premiums to go up on an annual basis. A few catastrophic injuries, God forbid, or accidents or any other thing that impacts some of our community members, they have reinsurance for that, which they pay a premium based on your previous year's claims. But our carrier now that we have Horizon, they do that. That's part of what they do already. We would just be doing that and getting that on our own. And again, the whole idea is not to diminish anything, not to diminish any service, but to take the profit from the carriers and give it back to you
All right,
and me.
thank you. Yeah, you. All right. Anybody else? Yeah, Jeffrey, I'm sorry, yeah.
Hi, my name is Jeff, and Normandy Road, and I just wanted to, thank the teachers, recognize their strong efforts and good work, and wanted to thank Mr. Shi and Dr. Brigham for, your positive response and all, as well as the other committee members that approached me as well with positive inquiries about what I said last week regarding politicization of curriculum and how it's being presented in the classroom. Now, the thing is, we all have good intentions, all right? And I approach you all as a chemistry professor, so as an educator, as well as I approach most of all as a parent. And it's the parent's concern that is driving me here. I understand, sorry about that, I understand what it means to be an educator. Now, what it is I feel that there are some things that need to be put forward here. Let me get my notes here. Okay, so what's really important to keep everything flowing smoothly, as we know, as we can see, is, standards. There has to be standards. And, I say this to the board as well as to the other 71 people that are currently watching this meeting online. And so I compliment, Dr. Brigham and the board about how well student policies are broadcast via email to the students and the parents, so the students know exactly what the policy is, what they have to be held to, and what will also be the results if they don't follow those policies. The same thing goes for parents. Parents are received broadcast notifications via email about what policies they have to stick to and what could be the consequences. Now with my low battery, this keeps turning off. So, again, everybody has good intentions here, but we just have to realize where the policies should be set to keep everything flowing. And that is in the same spirit for the parents and the student. I believe that there also needs to be standards for curriculum, and the policy should be broadcast via email to all of the students and the parents, as well as to the faculty and the administrators. It should be a publicly displayed policy for curriculum. And most importantly of all, that policy, regardless of whatever the stance may be, cannot include any politics. It should not include any politically biased sources of information. Teachers may have good intentions to, so to say, as a comment was made last week, to provide a safe environment for discussion. Safe environments are what parents provide. Parents provide safe environments for discussion, as well as our students have safe environments like Instagram and Discord, where they can do plenty of discussion on there, not in a classroom. Okay, and that includes on the Zoom classroom as well. So it's just very simple. I'm a parent, people watching are parents. Dr. Brigham, you mentioned, you're a parent as well. And that's our job as the parents. The teachers have excellent, important jobs, as myself I do as well. But my job is not to be the parent of my child, or of my students, nor am I to encourage some ideology in my students. That's for the parents to take care of, or on their own effort, or most of all, that's where we see that all coming in with the university. That's not something for elementary school via sources like Time for Kids, Newsella. So many of these sources that are being used are just boiled down, biased sources. That's all there is to it. So please, I ask the board, can any of you please give some comments this time? Who does it come through? I don't know who it comes through, but I want to please hear some comments. Is this sort of policy possible? Because I feel it's very important. I've spoken with my neighbors, I've spoken with other parents, and they all support me. They all agree with me. I want to know, can I get any support from any of the board? Thank you.
Okay. Any comments on this? Okay.
Timing couldn't be any more perfect.
Just state your name.
1 second, guys. Don't stop my time.
Yeah, we're not stopping.
So, appreciate the comments regarding the politicization of our curriculum, but I completely disagree in your opinion.
Your first and last
Oh, I'm
name.
sorry, first time doing this. My name's Jorge Sanchez, Redwood Avenue.
Yeah, please don't engage the audience, please.
Sure. And so,
Get closer to the microphone if you don't mind. Yeah, because I just want to have people online to hear it. And it's another reason that sometimes we have to remove the mask, because I do get messages after the meeting and say, hey, we cannot hear you, so that's why, yeah.
okay. All right, so I wanted to speak on curriculum, right? Governor Murphy just enacted legislation in March of this year, where it states New Jersey schools must teach about unconscious bias, economic inequality, and inclusions in K-12, right?
Start the clock, please.
Say with that?
No, start the clock.
I've been a parent in Edison Township for over 10 years now. 2 students, one in the middle school, one in the elementary school in here. So I've seen curriculum and the changes in our curriculum throughout this time. And I must admit, it's not where it needs to be. We have a long way to go, okay? Our curriculum needs work. It's still white male perspective centered. It's still primarily that narrative of a Eurocentric narrative. My community has been changing to a more diverse community, more Asian population, more Indian population, more Latinx population. Their voices need to be heard and reflected in our curriculum, okay? So my question is, I have a few actually. First, what's the district's plan to revise curriculum in all content areas, not just in history, because when we talk about stuff like inclusion of other cultures, we focus our attention on history. But math, science, English, all of that is included, okay? So what is the plan to revise the curriculum in all content areas so that multiple narratives are present? The contributions of Asian Americans in this country, the contribution of Indian Americans in this country, the contributions of Latinx Americans in this country. I think that's important. I think our students need to see that so that they can change their perspective in what this world is about, okay? Secondly, I'll speak a little bit about my experience with my son. My son's in first grade right now, or second grade. During his time in first grade, early on, Thanksgiving time comes around, what happens in our school districts, particularly in our elementary schools? You see these powwows as a celebration of Native American culture. That's an embarrassment. A powwow is a sacred event for a Native American, and we completely spit on it when we use our children to promote this fake, inaccurate account of history. We killed off our Native Americans in order to replace them.
I think that's important to let our students know that that's our history, okay? Students' first encounter with Black history is the slave trade. How demeaning is that for our Black students? That the first thing that they hear about themselves in this country is slavery. What about Black excellence? What about the fact that Black people have had Black literary societies during the abolition period, where Frederick Douglass and Du Bois were working with people, educating them, teaching them how to read and write, how to advocate for themselves. That's power. That's what we need in our country. That's what we need in the school district. So, secondly, who's vetting and assessing curriculum purchase initiatives for cultural responsiveness? What's the plan for this? What tools or frameworks do we have in place specifically that we will be utilizing to vet these purchases? I can tell you that NYU has a framework available for you. Go on their website, pull it up. You have a framework that you could base yours out of if you don't have one. Okay? What's the plan to engage all staff around anti-bias cultural competence, which is embedded in the governor's mandate that I spoke about when I started? Okay? Part of growth in this country, and I'm sorry, but it's something that needs to be spoken out so that we can address it, is this idea of unlearning white supremacy culture. That's important. We have to move away from this white supremacy culture where we center the Eurocentric white male perspective over all else. So what's the plan to support staff so that they can do the reflective work necessary to educate these kids of these concepts, right? Because it's going to be, what appreciation do we really have for teachers if we're not preparing them to address these concerns, to address the questions that they'll be asked from the students, to be able to have some factual background framework that they can base their responses or their curriculum or their lesson plans on. They need that support, because if we do all of this work, right, and we change our text to see that not only the sidekick has to be a non-white, that they can be the center figure in a story, right? We can do all that. But if we don't train our teachers to be able to understand the curriculum, right, and then plan it out and regurgitate it out to the students so that they understand it without passing judgment on people, but stating fact, man. We have to get away from this American excellence that we claim. We are not who we think we are. I think it's important that we pull the curtain down, pull the mirror to our face, look ourselves in the mirror, and change the way we do business in this township. I think you guys are doing great work when it comes to saving us some cash. I appreciate that. The issues with respect to the transparency, I've seen some of it, but it's coming from both sides, not just the people on this side of the room, the people on this side of the room too. So it's taken me a while to get out here, but I'm here now. I don't plan on leaving. This question that I have here will continue to be asked until I see some results. And I am willing to be in there pulling my sleeves up and getting into the mud with you to make this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to respond to that, if
Yes,
you don't mind,
please.
Mr. Cristo, before you go. No problem. Mr. Sanchez, I do appreciate your perspective and your thoughts. When we gave our curriculum technology report, a good portion of what was discussed at the last meeting was educational equity, and educational equity in providing all students the opportunity to be successful, right? We do have some disparity with our performance that's been consistent within our district, and we need to work on that. Regarding curriculum, we do have standards and things that we have to work on, and the guidance, as you mentioned, is provided often by the state, the New Jersey State Learning Standards. Our curriculums need to be aligned to that. And while there are inroads we need to make a more diverse curriculum, to show the contributions of all peoples, right, across our great nation, and prior to us being the United States, when it was mostly settled by Native Americans. We've made inroads. I went to school in this district. The textbooks that you look at today are very different than the ones I had at Ben Franklin when they discuss historical perspectives. Are they putting everyone on an equal footing, right? If you read Howard Zinn's The History of the American People, do we portray it that way? Probably not, right? Or lies my history teacher told me by James Lowen? No, probably not. And there are things we need to do. We need to move forward and be respectful of all cultures in the curriculum. And that's really important, because what I've said repeatedly since coming to the superintendency in Edison, our diversity is our greatest strength. It's also one of our greatest hurdles, right? It's hard to make everybody feel included, important, respected, and we're working on it. We're a work in progress, Mr. Sanchez, and we appreciate your support as well in moving forward. If you want to be a part of that dynamic, we've had other people express that as well. For me, and I've expressed this from the time I interviewed for the position, for me, the thing that matters more than anything is that all of our students perform at the highest levels. They don't right now. We have some subpopulations that don't meet with the success that our other populations do. And we want to make sure that we provide opportunities from kindergarten on to provide those supports. Some families come from an academically enriched environment, a socioeconomically rich environment, and some don't. And we need to help address those that don't and provide the scaffolding and support to help them achieve on par with that. That's our mission. One of the things that the board charged me with was developing a long-range plan. We're in the process now of putting that together using the Middle States district-wide accreditation to really reflect on what we do, how true we are to our mission, and what we could do to make us better. And if you want to be a part of that dialogue, sir, I would welcome you to do that.
Yeah, so, yeah, the other things, wait. Sit before I call you.
Oh, come on, this is public comments.
No, I have not finished what I try to say yet, okay? So you brought up a good point, and I think that's something that the Community Relations Committee can also try to work with you, with a community on that. As far as diversity, inclusion, and you're talking about, and today, at this meeting, we just approved a position, director of diversity officer. That is to get our district into the right directions, not only for students, for staff, and we, as Dr. Bragan said, we are making progress. I know it's probably not big enough, but we are making progress. We'll be happy for you to join the effort to get this issue resolved. Okay, I really appreciate you coming to the meeting. Okay? Yes.
Okay. I just heard a lot of people that you claim to be minority groups, which are actually the majority groups now in Edison. Can't keep calling them the minority, since these are the same people that come to these meetings and say hire less blacks, whites, and Latinos. Coming from a Latino, I don't know how many years you lived in this town, but definitely on the wrong side of the spectrum. I just heard a racist who pretends to be an anti-racist. White this, white that. You said we have to respect all cultures. Let's respect white people too. I'm Greek. That's right, I'm Greek. Greek people never had slaves here in America, but at the end of the day, Islamic Africans had the largest slave trade of white people, of white Christian people. That's how come we have the United States Marines. The United States Marines were sent over to Africa to save some of the American sailors. And the Muslims would have completely took them out if Greek Christians didn't step in and pay those Muslims, which are mercenaries. You can pay them to do anything at any time. They're mercenaries. Governor Murphy, Governor Murphy, he's a left-wing radical. One of the many things Murphy wants to do with the curriculum, along with other radicals, is sexualize the kids. This is a known fact. People, they don't want to talk about it. I understand that, Jerry. I won't explain how it's happening, but it's happened.
You have kids watching.
But it's happened. That's not my problem, Jerry. They shouldn't even be. No kids are watching this. Supposedly Biden recognized the Armenian. I wish we had an Armenian lawyer here today. Biden supposedly recognized the Armenian genocide, but they cite it as the Ottoman Empire attacked Armenian Christians because they did not trust their loyalty. Notice how they cover up the attackers were Islamic and that they were going after people because of their religious and ethnic background. America completely forgot. Biden completely forgot. Of course, Biden's not going to say that.
Democrats aren't going to say that. Bill Clinton completely supported KLA jihadis to wipe out heroes in Serbia and steal the holy land of Serbia, which is Kosovo. This happened when I grew up. They're never gonna, they use these people all the time. Claim for non-white students in lower levels. I can't believe what I'm hearing. When I went to school, we might have had in the whole Edison High, maybe 4 Greek people. 2 of them were in special education, or 3 of them. No one really made a big deal about it. Whatever someone's level is, that's what it's going to be. Whether the color of their skin, none of that matters. You know, start training them, whatever. They could have some. You said there was a group of minority kids in lower levels. Well, so what? So what? So someone up here said minority kids are in lower levels. Some kids are where they're supposed to be. Some kids grow out of that. But at the end of the day, to say, okay, maybe if they were white, they wouldn't be there, I can't believe what I'm hearing. This is absolutely ridiculous. You put the work in, and then what are we going to do? Lower the standards so they can, what are we going to do? I can't believe we're promoting vaccines to kids. The vaccines don't work. People get the vaccine and still get COVID afterwards. And now you want to poison people's kids? Vaccines to the kids, that's up to the parents, number one. BOE has no right to promote vaccines. This is a public building. I could take my mask off if I wanted. I'm not going to because people are going to freak out, but what are you going to do when a kid walks in without the mask? You can't enforce mask wearing and non-mask wearing. It's a public building. I don't understand that. You do know the law protects the kid taking that mask off. So why is there a sign when I walk in, every kid must wear a mask? You're lying to the kids. You're lying to the kids. You're lying to the parents. Okay, I got 1 minute and 30 seconds left. You know, I love everybody. I love all nationalities, all religions. But if we're going to come here just to bash white people, to say, oh, white people did this, white people did that, it's absolutely, you know, come on. Some people, we come up here to say, hey, don't politicize the kids at all. You know, make it a safe environment. And then we got other people coming in here pretending to be an anti-racist, throwing out racist rhetoric, saying white's this, white's that. I really, if you would like to debate me on any issue historical, I know you won't because very low IQ individual you are.
Hey, stop.
I hope you didn't come here. Don't tell me what to do. This is my time.
Do not engage.
Lozman versus Riviera Beach Supreme Court ruling. You cannot mute me. You cannot stop my time once my time has actually started. No, I mean, I can't believe what I'm hearing. No one in here is going to have the guts to call out real racism. They're just going to sit here, put their head down. I don't have any white guilt. I don't have no white guilt at all. Tell me one thing that Greek people did to you.
Please
tell me.
Don't engage the audience.
No, so he wants to tell me
your comments to the
America
board.
when my grandparents weren't even born, and I'm supposed to be guilty of that. Hell no, I'm not going to be guilty of that. America is a 300-year-old country. Greeks have been slaves for over 300 years. So, yeah, I'm not feeling bad for anybody.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Don't engage the audience. All right, not in here. Not when you have a meeting. Do we have any other public comments? Yes, first timer.
It's like deja vu. Again, I apologize for coming late. So my questions go to the insurance. Is that the broker you guys are choosing?
No, we're not choosing the broker. The broker is on record. Has been in the district for more than 3 years.
Okay.
We're
so
picking the insurance. They're doing the work for us.
They're doing the work for you.
Correct.
Okay.
We have been having a broker since I know. It was a different broker.
All right.
In the past, the broker doesn't even come to the meeting. We don't know the broker. Right? We just get a number from the broker and say, hey, this is your premium you pay.
Okay.
Starting 3 years ago, we have started seeing the brokers.
So this was the final group that was selected to do the work for you?
This is a broker record. It's being auditioned for more than 3 years.
How many were interviewed?
This is 3 years ago.
That was answered when you were here. She asked that question.
I'm sorry, I showed up late, so I'm asking.
The broker record's been in the district for more than 3 years. We have always having a broker record in the
I'm just
district.
trying to figure out who they are.
An RFP, I think it was a year ago more. Alamo was reselected.
Okay, that's right. Yes.
Year ago, May.
Yes, year ago, May, there was an RFP. We have multiple brokers came in, and RFP, the Alamo was selected. Yes, you're
That's the
correct.
one you
I'm sorry.
selected? Because I was just curious on how many you guys interviewed and what were their final qualifications to suggest them.
That was the last year was elected.
All right, because, I did some research and I got some texts from some people, and you might want to reevaluate
I'm sorry.
who you're selecting.
I'm sorry to engage you, but you okay?
That's okay. It's
Answer your
just
questions.
fair warning.
Ask your questions.
So that was my main question, is that's who you're going with, and I was just curious why. The second thing I want to talk to, it was maybe directed to Dr. Bregan, to assist you with this. In our district, we actually created a social justice committee. We met with the public in September. We invited all the stakeholders in the district, multiple churches, multiple leaders, educators in the district, and stuff like that. And we actually provided PD to our teaching staff, culturally responsive teaching. It was a two-part session, and the presenter was amazing. His name is Mr. George Guy from the Foundation of Educational Administration. It was enlightening to hear what he had to say, and to be honest with you, I sat back and was like, wow, I never thought about it that way. So just to assist you, I thought the guy was phenomenal. We got great responses from our staff members from that PD, so it's just something you might want to look into, just to help out. His name was Mr. George Guy. I believe he's a principal in Cherry Hill. But the workshop was culturally responsive teaching, and he's from the Foundation of Education Administration. But it was mind-blowing with some of the things that he had to say. I was like, well, I never thought about it that way. So I figured something that could be helpful for you guys.
Thank you for the information. Any other first-timers? Yeah, your first-timers. No, well, he can speak first. He can come for a second time, that's all. I want the first timer to come.
I forgot to ask, has the district conducted a comprehensive equity audit as it relates to curriculum and discipline? And follow up to that, if there was a comprehensive equity audit, when will that be made public or shared with the public? And my last question is, do we have any data related to our middle school and high school discipline as it relates to race and ethnicity, and if there are some disparities there? Because I do have my concerns that there may be. Thank you.
Regarding the comprehensive equity audit, we have a comprehensive equity plan that is submitted to the state. We can share that. And the data regarding discipline infractions and things like that, I'm pretty sure that's all included in the school performance report, broken down by ethnicity. So that should be on the website. If it's not, reach out to me and we'll see if we can get you there.
Any other? Okay. Go ahead. Jeff, you want to come back again?
Go ahead, Christo.
Okay, so the response that came immediately after my comment, that's exactly the pressure that I continually face, all right? And what does it come down to? It should be pretty obvious what it comes down to right here in front of our eyes, okay? When diversity is our strength, I come from a diverse marriage. I hope nobody's going to preach diversity to me. So, anyways,
You know, it's very simple. If we want to start having this kind of stuff happen to our curriculum in this city, okay, let's put it out there with, working with, a single individual who feels so passionate about this. Come on, let's involve all of the parents and let all of them know that we're going to start pushing all of this racial stuff into the classroom, okay? And then to the point as to where we got words like trust the science, that being used so much. I myself, as a scientist, that's a phrase that's just used merely as a political weapon. All right? So, come on. Or as our president says, come on, man. Look, we aren't kids here. Let's quit, the nonsense. And let's just face the fact what's really going on here. Stop trying to indoctrinate the kids. If you're so knowledgeable about the history of all of these horrible things that white people have done, go on and teach your kids about the horrible white people. All right? That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Keep it out of the public schools.
Thank you.
Yes.
If you want to respond, yes.
Just to address the curriculum issue, it's, the curriculum is prescribed by the state, the New Jersey State Learning Standards that we have to adhere to. So we don't really get the chance to pick and choose which curricula we want to teach or not. We do have some flexibility in which ones we pick and which textbooks we use, but it really is, the state drives the curriculum.
Excuse me, no back and forth. Excuse me.
You can ask me later, sir. We'll talk.
Yeah, we can talk offline, okay? When the meeting's over, just yeah, talk.
When we say the state runs our curriculum with Governor Murphy and other states across America, I'd like to give an example what Dr. Bragan just said. If the state of New Jersey and Governor Murphy choose to sexualize your children and push to kindergarteners certain sexual teaching, certain sexual positions, he has no other choice but to teach that to them. So that's where I kind of disagree. I think a community can all get together. Hey, Hitler took power one time, right? So what happens when the government gets tyrannical? The community gets together, the parents get together, and we say, look, you're not going to sexualize our kids. I mean, for 2 years I was bashed for saying this, but what I'm saying is actually happening. Do you want me to come in and bring you the laws and everything? I'll bring extra copies for each and every one of you. I don't have to. In regards to white people, I hope this young individual knows over in Europe, the Europeans are always at war with each other. You can never get Europeans to agree on anything. Look, you're going to have pretty soon Eastern Europe going to war with Western Europe, and that's how it's always been. Yet this guy over there wants to pretend like all white people were united in some kind of conspiracy to keep everybody down. I can't believe what I heard today. I can't believe that the only pushback is coming from me and Jeff. God bless wherever he is. True American patriot. God bless you. Yeah, I'm just very disgusted. Look at the cops. There's some cops, very good cops. They want to go to work. They want to do their job. How do you think they feel when they walk down the road and someone says to that cop, you're a corrupt cop, not even knowing their background, nothing. That's the same way black people feel like when they get how do you call it? You know what I'm saying. Same way anyone can be discriminated, and that's how we got to teach it, that discrimination happens to everyone, and it's not acceptable whether you do it to police officers and an ethnicity, but hey, what's going on with them, you can't, basically what I'm saying is you can't put everyone in one, everybody's different. You can't characterize everyone the same way, whether it's police officers, white people, black people. If we had this guy running our curriculum, you'll radicalize all the children. So in order to keep people like him and Governor Murphy
from brainwashing your kids. People, true American patriots like me and Jeff have to come in and talk about common sense, because no one on the board's gonna say, hey, you guys want your votes every year. You want the Democratic Party to endorse you. That's why you won't talk down about the sexualization of the children.
Time's up.
And you know what's happening.
Any other comments? All right, see none, can I have a motion to close the public?
Motion. Second.
All right, all in favor? All right, so now we are going to a closed session, so, Rick?
Okay. Whereas, Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now, therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Township of Edison, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, as follows. The public shall be excluded from discussion of and action upon the hereinafter specified subject matters. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Attorney-client privilege discussion regarding ETEA grievance. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists. No action shall be taken. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mohan Patel and Biro Patel, roll call.
Jabril Patel.
Yes.
Ms. White.
Yes.
Ms. Madakar.
Yes.
Ms. Podolsky.
Yes.
Dr. Chen.
Yes.
Ms. Conway.
Yes.
Ms. Ping.
Yes.
Mr. Mohan Patel.
Yes.
And Mr. Shi.
Yes.
All
We do
yes.
not expect to come back, so I'll see you guys next month. Good night.
Thank you.